The Philadelphia morning air felt heavy that Tuesday in March. I stood in my kitchen, the one Sarah and I had renovated together 15 years ago, holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold in my hands. Through the window, I could see the cherry blossoms beginning to bloom in our backyard, Sarah's favorite. She'd planted those trees when we first moved to this house in Chestnut Hill, saying she wanted something beautiful to look at every spring. She never got to see this spring. My name is Margaret Hayes, and 3 months ago, I buried my wife of 32 years. Pancreatic cancer took her in 6 brutal months, from diagnosis to funeral. Sarah had been my rock, my partner, my everything. We'd built a life together, a successful catering business, this beautiful home, and raised our son, Derek, who we thought would carry forward the values we'd instilled in him. I was wrong about that last part. The kitchen felt too quiet without Sarah's laughter. She used to sing while making breakfast, terrible off-key renditions of oldies that made me groan and smile at the same time. Now, silence filled every corner of this house, broken only by the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Another one of Sarah's treasures. My phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Derek. Coming over at 2 p.m. We need to talk about Mom's estate. I stared at those words, feeling something twist in my chest. Not, how are you, Mom? Not, thinking of you today? Just business, just the estate. Derek was 30 years old now, married to Vanessa for 3 years. When they'd first started dating, I'd had reservations. Vanessa came from money, old Philadelphia money, the kind that came with expectations and a certain coldness I'd never quite understood. But Derek loved her, and I'd learned to accept her, even if we never quite connected the way I'd hoped. After Sarah died, something shifted in Derek. He started visiting less, calling less. When he did come by, Vanessa was always with him, and the conversations always seemed to circle back to finances, to Sarah's trust fund, to what we'd be doing with all this space. Sarah had been the primary breadwinner in our marriage. Her family had money, and she'd invested wisely over the years. She'd set up a trust, a substantial one, naming Derek as the primary beneficiary after her death, with me as the trustee until I passed. At least, that's what the original document said. I walked to my home office, a small room off the main hallway that overlooked our front garden. On the desk lay the documents I'd signed just that morning. My hand trembled slightly as I picked them up. The meeting with Jonathan Miller, our family attorney, had been brief but necessary. After what I'd discovered 2 weeks ago, I knew I had no choice. It was a cold evening when I'd found out. Derek and Vanessa had invited me to dinner at their townhouse in Rittenhouse Square, a property Sarah had helped them purchase as a wedding gift. I'd arrived early, let myself in with the key they'd given me, and overheard them talking in the dining room. Once we get control of the trust, we can finally pay off your parents' debts, Vanessa was saying. They're drowning in that country club membership and the Florida condo fees. I know, babe. Mom won't need all that money anyway. She lives simply. We can probably convince her to sign over control early, especially while she's still grieving. My son's voice. My son, talking about manipulating his grieving mother. Your mom's too sentimental about everything, Vanessa continued. That house is worth at least $2 million. She doesn't need 4 bedrooms. We could convince her to downsize, sell it, and the money could help my family. I'd stood frozen in their foyer, my heart hammering against my ribs. The gift basket I'd brought, homemade cookies, Sarah's recipe, felt impossibly heavy in my hands. I'd left quietly, set the basket on their porch, and driven home in a daze. The next day, I'd started making calls. Jonathan had been Sarah's attorney for 20 years. When I told him what I'd overheard, I heard him sigh deeply. "Margaret, I'm so sorry," he'd said. "What do you want to do?" What I wanted was for Sarah to be alive. What I wanted was for our son to be the man we'd raised him to be. "I want to protect what Sarah and I built," I told him, "and I want to make sure her legacy goes to someone who'll honor it." Now, standing in my office with those freshly signed documents, I felt the weight of what I'd done. As of 8 o'clock that morning, the trust had been completely restructured. Derek was no longer the primary beneficiary. Instead, the bulk of Sarah's estate would go to the culinary scholarship fund we'd always talked about creating, helping young chefs from underprivileged backgrounds attend culinary school. A portion would go to the local LGBTQ+ youth shelter, a cause Sarah had been passionate about. Derek would receive a modest inheritance, enough to be meaningful, but nowhere near what he'd been expecting. I heard a car pull into the driveway. 2 o'clock exactly. I watched through the window as he and Vanessa emerged from their Tesla. She was wearing a designer suit, her blonde hair pulled back severely. Derek looked tired, older than 30 somehow. I opened the door before they could knock. Derek's expression was neutral, professional. Vanessa's was assessing, taking in my worn cardigan and jeans like she was calculating my net worth based on my clothing choices. "Margaret," Vanessa said. She never called me Mom, not once in 3 years. "Thank you for making time for us." As if this were a business meeting, as if this were her house. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. I made coffee. We settled in the living room, the same room where we'd celebrated Derek's graduation, his engagement, where we'd gathered after Sarah's funeral. The same cream-colored couch where Sarah and I had spent countless evenings reading or watching old movies. Derek cleared his throat. "Mom, we wanted to talk to you about practical matters. I know it's been hard since we lost Mom." The way he said it, clinical, detached, made something ache in my chest. "We've been thinking," Vanessa interjected smoothly, "that this house is quite large for one person. The maintenance alone must be overwhelming. Have you considered downsizing?" I was 60 years old, hardly ready for a senior community. "This is my home," I said quietly. "Sarah and I made this our home, and we wanted to discuss Mom's trust," Vanessa continued. "Given everything you're dealing with, perhaps it would be easier if Derek took over managing those assets." There it was, the real reason for this visit. I took a sip of my coffee, buying time. Through the window, I could see our neighbor, Mrs. Chen, working in her garden. She and Sarah had traded plants and recipes for years. After the funeral, she'd brought me meals every day for a month. That was care. That was real concern. "Actually," I said, setting down my cup carefully, "I've already made some changes to the trust." Derek's head snapped up. "What do you mean changes?" "I met with Jonathan Miller this morning. The trust has been restructured." Vanessa's face went pale, then red. "You can't do that. Sarah set up that trust for Derek. It's his inheritance." "Sarah set up that trust when Derek was a different person," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "When he was the son we raised, not someone who plots with his wife about manipulating his grieving mother." The silence that followed was deafening. Derek's face cycled through confusion, then understanding, then panic. "Mom, what are you talking about? I came to your house 2 weeks ago for dinner. I arrived early. I heard everything you both said about getting control of the trust, about convincing me to sell this house, about using Sarah's money to pay off Vanessa's parents' debts." Vanessa stood abruptly. "You were eavesdropping?" "I was arriving for dinner at my son's home, where I had a key and an invitation. You were plotting in your own dining room." I turned to Derek. "You talked about me being weak and vulnerable, about striking while the iron is hot. Your mother had been dead for less than 3 months." Derek's face crumbled. For a moment, I saw the boy he'd been, the child who'd cried when his goldfish died. Then Vanessa touched his arm, and his expression hardened again. "So you're just cutting Derek out?" Vanessa demanded. "That's vindictive." "No," I said. "Derek will receive an inheritance when I pass. The bulk of Sarah's estate is going to fund culinary scholarships and support LGBTQ+ youth, causes your mother cared about deeply, Derek. Do you even remember that?" "You had no right," Vanessa started. "I had every right," I interrupted. "Sarah was my wife. We built everything together. That trust represented 32 years of love, hard work, and shared dreams. I'll be damned if I let it be used to pay off country club debts." Derek finally spoke, his voice hollow. "Mom's scholarships. She always wanted to do that." "Yes," I said. "She did. We talked about it for years." I pulled out a folder, handed it to Derek. "This is a copy of the new trust documents. The scholarship fund will be called the Sarah Chen Hayes Memorial Fund. It'll help 10 students a year attend culinary school." Derek opened the folder with shaking hands. I watched his eyes scan the documents, saw the moment the reality sank in. "I don't understand," he said softly. "When did I become this person?" "I've been asking myself the same question," I replied. "Your mother and I raised you to value people, not money." Vanessa grabbed her purse. "This is ridiculous. Derek, we're leaving. Call our attorney." But Derek didn't move. He was staring at a photo on the mantel. Him, about 7 years old, in the kitchen with Sarah. They were both covered in flour, laughing. "She made bread every Sunday," he said distantly. "I'd forgotten that. She made bread every Sunday until the chemo made her too weak to stand," I said. "She wanted to make sure you'd remember." A tear slid down Derek's cheek. Vanessa's voice was sharp. "Derek, we're leaving. Now." He stood slowly. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." "I know you are," I said. "But sorry doesn't fix this. Actions fix things." They left. I watched their Tesla pull out of the driveway. Then I went to the kitchen, pulled out Sarah's bread recipe, and started measuring flour. My hands shook. Tears ran down my face. But I kept measuring, kept working, because that's what Sarah would have done. 3 days passed. I threw myself into finalizing the scholarship fund details with Jonathan. We established the criteria. Students had to demonstrate both financial need and genuine passion for culinary arts. That evening, I got an unexpected visitor. A young woman with dark curly hair stood on my porch, nervous energy radiating from her. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm Isabella Rodriguez. I worked with Sarah at the community kitchen. I'm so sorry to show up unannounced." The community kitchen was a non-profit where Sarah had volunteered for years, teaching cooking classes to people in underserved neighborhoods. "Please, come in," I said. Isabella followed me to the kitchen, clutching a folder. "I heard about the scholarship fund. Mrs. Hayes, I wanted to tell you what Sarah meant to me." She opened her folder, pulled out photos. 5 years ago, I was homeless, living in my car, working 3 part-time jobs. I showed up at the community kitchen for a free meal and saw a flyer for Sarah's cooking class. The photos showed a younger Isabella, thinner, with haunted eyes, standing next to Sarah. "I almost didn't go," Isabella continued, "but Sarah saw something in me. She pulled me aside after the first class and said, 'You have a gift. Don't waste it.'" I felt tears starting. That was so Sarah. She became my mentor. She helped me find stable housing, connected me with social services, wrote recommendation letters. When I got accepted to culinary school, she helped me navigate financial aid. I graduated last year. I'm the sous chef at Verde now, and I owe all of it to your wife. "I didn't know," I said softly. "She never mentioned you." "That was Sarah," Isabella said, smiling through tears. "She helped dozens of people like me. She never wanted recognition." She pulled out an envelope. "This is a letter from 11 other people she mentored. We want to help with the scholarship fund." I read the letter, saw the names and their stories. So many lives touched, so many paths changed. "Your son visited the community kitchen once," Isabella mentioned. "Maybe 2 years ago?" Sarah was so excited to introduce him to everyone, but he seemed uncomfortable. He stayed maybe 15 minutes. My heart sank. Derek had complained about it later, said the neighborhood made him nervous. After Isabella left, my phone rang. Derek's name flashed on the screen. "Hello," I said. "Mom?" His voice was thick with emotion. "Can I come over? Please, alone." "Tomorrow morning," I said. 9 o'clock. He arrived early, looking like he hadn't slept. "Thank you for seeing me," he said. We sat in the kitchen. "I talked to Isabella Rodriguez yesterday," he began. "She came to my office." I raised my eyebrows. "She told me about the letter, about the other people Mom helped. She also said she'd been at Verde the night Vanessa and I had our anniversary dinner there last year. She overheard us talking about how Mom's volunteer work was beneath her and a waste of time." Isabella turned around and left without introducing herself. The kitchen was silent. "She came to tell me that I didn't deserve Mom's legacy," Derek continued, his voice breaking. "She was right." Derek rubbed his face with both hands. "Vanessa's family is drowning in debt. When Mom got sick, Vanessa started talking about how our inheritance could solve everything. At first, I shut it down, but she kept pushing. The pressure was constant. "You could have said no," I pointed out. "I could have," he agreed. "I should have. But I started believing that money was the answer to everything. Mom used to try to talk to me about it. She'd say, 'Derek, money is a tool, not a goal.' I thought she was being sentimental because she was dying." He started crying then, real sobs. "I never told her I loved her the last time I saw her. I felt my own eyes fill with tears, but I didn't reach out. Not yet." "Isabella gave me something else," Derek said, pulling a notebook from his bag. "Mom's journal from the community kitchen. She kept notes about each student. There's an entry about me. Would you like me to read it?" I nodded. Derek read, "Derek came to the kitchen today. I'd been asking him to visit for months. He seemed uncomfortable, distracted. He left after 15 minutes. As I watched him drive away, I wondered where my son went, the boy who used to help me cook for homeless shelters, who cried when he saw people suffering. I just hope, before I'm gone, I can remind him of who he really is. The silence was absolute. She died 2 months later, Derek whispered. I never gave her that chance. No, I said. You didn't. But Derek, your mother believed people could grow, change. That's why she spent every Thursday teaching people who society had written off. She believed in second chances. Do you believe in second chances? He asked. I believe in earned second chances, I said. The trust is done. That's not changing. But you have a choice now. You can be angry, bitter, or you can figure out who you want to be. Derek nodded slowly. I spoke to an attorney yesterday, not to fight the trust, to file for divorce. That surprised me. Derek, Vanessa's talking about contesting the trust, suing you. When I told her I wanted to step back from helping her parents, she called me weak. She said I was just like my sentimental mothers. He looked at me directly. She was right about me being weak. I've been weak for 3 years, but not for the reasons she thinks, because I let someone else's values replace the values you and Mom taught me. I got up, walked to the drawer where Sarah had kept her recipes. I pulled out a worn index card, her bread recipe. Your mother wanted you to have this, I said. She told me about a week before she died. She said, when Derek finally remembers who he is, give him my bread recipe. Tell him that some things are worth more than money. Derek took the card like it was made of glass. She knew. She hoped you'd find your way back, I corrected. Over the next 2 months, I watched Derek begin rebuilding himself. He left Vanessa and moved into a modest apartment. He took a leave from his finance job and started volunteering at the community kitchen every Thursday, Sarah's old shift. Isabella sent me photos. Derek in an apron, chopping vegetables. Derek laughing with students. Derek staying late to clean up, the way Sarah always had. He came to dinner every Sunday. We'd cook together in Sarah's kitchen, her recipes, her techniques. We didn't talk much about the trust. Instead, we talked about Sarah. Really talked, sharing memories, laughing and crying, rebuilding our connection. One Sunday, making Sarah's lasagna, Derek said, I applied to be on the scholarship selection committee. Jonathan said you'd have to approve it. You're approved, I said, on one condition. You have to write an essay about what Sarah's values meant to you, and you'll read it to the scholarship candidates. You'll tell them your story, because the most valuable thing you can teach them is that it's possible to lose your way and find it again. Derek's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. The scholarship fund launched in September. We selected 10 students from over 200 applications. Reading those essays, young people writing about grandmothers teaching them to cook, about dreams of opening restaurants in neighborhoods that needed them, I felt Sarah's presence so strongly. The award ceremony was at the community kitchen. Derek read his essay, standing in front of the students and board members. He didn't hide anything, not his greed, not his failures. He talked about losing his way and the long road back. When he finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. One of the recipients, Marcus, raised his hand. Mr. Hayes, thank you for being real with us. How do you fill your cup back up when it's empty? Derek thought about this. I'm still figuring that out, but I think it starts with remembering what matters. My mom showed up every Thursday for people she didn't know. She did it because it filled her cup to help fill others' cups. I'm trying to learn to be that kind of person. After the ceremony, I stood in the community kitchen's garden, watching the sunset over Philadelphia. Derek found me there. I never thanked you for changing the trust, for saving me from myself. If you'd let me have that money, I'd have learned nothing, become even more lost. That's what mothers do, I said. Your mother taught me that. She loved you like you were her own. She was my mother, Derek said firmly. Biology doesn't matter. Love matters. She showed up for me every day until cancer made it impossible. You're showing up now, I said, for these students, for this legacy. She'd be proud of who you're becoming. We stood together in the garden as the light faded, 2 people learning to carry forward the legacy of someone who'd believed in second chances. The first scholarship checks went out the next week, 10 students starting their journeys, and every semester there would be 10 more. Sarah's legacy, growing and spreading, touching lives she'd never meet. I kept the house. Derek and I cooked in Sarah's kitchen every Sunday. The cherry blossoms bloomed every spring. And every Thursday, Derek showed up at the community kitchen, teaching people to cook, learning to be the man his mother had always believed he could be. Some legacies are measured in money. Others are measured in lives changed, in values passed forward. Sarah's legacy was the latter. And finally, Her son was helping to carry it forward,